So I was driving my truck the other day and I was thinking, gee, sure it's hot in here. I don't think the air conditioning's working, and yeah, wonder why. Barbecue pork ribs, anybody? I'm just kidding, I really wasn't driving that truck when it caught on fire, but it did make a good video clip, I think. In the meantime, let's look at the elephant in the room here. A brand new Ford F-150 Platinum model. These are expensive, starting at $54,000. But this one has the engine we've all been waiting for, the 3.0 liter Power Stroke turbo diesel. Here's the price if you're interested. Not cheap. This is what it looks like under the hood, and let's compare it to other engines in the Ford F-150 line. You have the base 3.3 liter V6 at 290 horsepower, the 2.7 EcoBoost at 325 horsepower, the 5.0 V8 at 395 horsepower, the 3.5 EcoBoost at 375 horsepower. This is the lowest of the lot, only 250 horsepower. When it comes out to foot-pounds of torque, it's a whole different ball game. The base V6 puts out 265, the 2.7 EcoBoost 400, the 5.0 V8 400, the 3.5 EcoBoost a whopping 470, and this 3.0 turbo diesel puts out 440, but that's at a low 1750 RPM versus the 3.5, which does put out more 470 but at a higher 3500 RPM. For towing, the 3.5 is rated at 13,000 pounds, the 3.0 turbo diesel is 11,400 pounds. So even though the 3.5 has a maximum torque, if you're towing below 2,500 RPM, this smaller 3.0 might do a little bit better. I've driven both the V8 and all the EcoBoost engines, and they were all the same as far as body-wise, a double cab with 4x4. So equipped, the V8 was rated at 15 to 21 mpg with an average of 17. The EcoBoost 3.5 was 17 to 23 mpg with an average of 20. In two-wheel drive, the fuel economy figures for this diesel is impressive, 22 in the city, 30 on the highway, 25 overall. If you drop to the double cab and 4x4, we're talking 20 in the city, 25 on the highway with an average of 22 mpg. Next question, obviously, how much does this thing cost? The latest figures I got, if you buy it over the 3.5 EcoBoost, it's around $2,300 more, or the V8, $2,700 more. This brings up another issue of cost. The diesel engine is only available in the top-of-the-line models like the Lariat, which starts at 45 grand, or this Platinum, which starts around 53 grand, or the King Ranch, which is more than both, I'm told. That's the bad news. There is good news, though. If you own a business and Ford qualifies you to buy a fleet vehicle, you can buy the diesel outright to one of the cheaper XL F-150 trucks. I was quoted a price around $4,700. They may or may not be accurate at the time of this video. But there is a way around the high-end trucks if you want the diesel. If you qualify for a fleet vehicle and don't have to get this expensive trim, the overall sticker might save you up to $20,000. Now, are you glad you watched this video? For the rest of this video, we're going to take this truck out and do some fuel economy figures. Maybe 500 to 600 miles of driving. But first, as always, the first thing we do when we get a vehicle is test out the headlights. We're going to do that right now, in addition to talking about some of the other external lights, which I liked and did not like. It's dark enough, let's take these headlights out and see how they perform. Here we have the low beams on the building 100 feet away. Very bright, good height. High beams, very, very bright. Now we'll go to a longer distance. Here we have the high beams on the building 300 feet away. Lots of height, lots of width, lots of brightness. No problems here. Go to low beam, actually reaches out. Excellent lights, not a problem at all. Well, I was impressed with the headlights. I wasn't impressed with some of the exterior lights, and here's the problem. Every time you unlock the vehicle with the key fob, you have all these lights that come on. Lights in the front, lights under the mirror, the tail lights, and the cargo lamp. This also happens every time you open the door, locked or unlocked. There we go again. While this truck does have a disconnect switch for the interior lights, apparently it has no disconnect switch for these exterior lights. I read the manual, talked to the dealer. You cannot turn these off every time you open the door or unlock the vehicle. Eventually these lights will turn themselves off, but while this isn't a problem in the city, if you're out camping, it's a big issue because every time you open the door, you lost your night vision, getting blinded, you're attracting every insect on the planet, and you're running your battery down. Not a good idea. We took this truck out on a camping trip the other night, and the amount of bugs it attracted at night was just overwhelming, very annoying. Ford really needs to get a disconnect switch for these external lights. Not a deal killer, but just kind of annoying. If you don't go camping, then don't worry about it. Okay, enough about the headlights. Now we're going to go on the road and do some test driving. The first day I had this truck, I did a lot of city driving, was getting 20 mpg right on the EPA rating. Today I reset the computer, did 71 miles in heavy city traffic. You see it dropped down to 18 mpg. For comparison, I drove the 5.0 Ford F-150 V8 in the same environment. Only got 13.0. Also drove the 3.5 EcoBoost in the same heat and got 13.2 average mpg in heavy city driving. So we're doing a lot better, I would say. I'll have to admit I was a bit skeptical about this 10-speed automatic when Ford first introduced it, but I have no complaints whatsoever. This is definitely one of the smoothest gearboxes I've ever driven. Always knows what gear to be in. In daily commuting, you don't hear it shift, you don't even feel it shift. Definitely a class act. The reliability of this gearbox is yet to be proven, but if it's strong enough to handle the Mustang GT horsepower and torque, should not be a problem in the F-150 trucks. Speaking of smooth, this is one of the quietest diesel engines I've ever driven. Even on full throttle. Compare that to the 3.5 EcoBoost, which sounds like a loud vacuum cleaner on full throttle. Big difference. With only 250 horsepower, you're not going to lay a bunch of rubber getting away from a stoplight. Then again, with all this torque output at low RPM, it launches with authority. Yeah, once that turbo kicks in, gets moving. Again, notice how quiet it is. Oh, let's kill a shopping cart. Nice brakes, by the way. I really love the way this transmission shifts. This is a great gearbox. You will not be disappointed. In spite of all this hard driving, including city traffic, we're still around 18 mpg. Actually bumped up a bit. Not bad at all. For the record, that fuel economy reading was done in extreme heat of 113 degrees. And it will be hotter as the day goes along. The best I got to the 2.7 EcoBoost in this heavy city traffic and high temperatures was 15.6. So we're still doing quite a bit of improvement here. About 80 yards away, we have a Ram diesel. I can hear it all the way over here. Loud. From 20 feet away, this diesel's a lot quieter. And again, once the vehicle gets moving, you can't hear the diesel at all. Okay, next on the agenda is the suspension and ride comfort. Look, you have a standard cab, extended cab, double cab, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, big tires, small tires. You can get a dozen F-150s out there and get 12 different ride quality differences. All I can tell you is this Platinum version we have here is one of the smoothest riding trucks I've ever had. Take it for what it's worth. So let's take some speed bumps, as we do in all my videos. See what happens. If you hear rattling, it's the toolbox in here, not the truck. 30 miles per hour, bump one. Smooth, very smooth. Number two, didn't feel a thing. Didn't hear much either. Number three, and here comes the nasty one. Not bad. This electric power steering isn't the best I've ever felt, but far above average. There won't be any complaints. This is definitely one of the nicer trucks I've ever driven. It's a shame it has to be so bloody expensive if you want the diesel engine. Ford needs to do something about this and make them more readily available at a lower cost. We've got about 400 miles more of driving to do, so stay tuned. More fuel economy figures coming up. Reset to 0, and away we go. And we can only hope the temperatures will get a bit cooler. Turbos don't like operating in hot weather. Oh well, it's a desert, too bad. This is definitely one of the smoothest and quietest diesel engines I've ever driven. Great for long trips. And this particular F-150 is very comfortable for long trips too. Very comfortable ride. Very quiet aside from the wind noise around the mirrors. We're coming towards the end of our highway trip. We'll pull over and take a peek at our fuel economy. Here you go, 118.9 miles, 22.3 mpg. We were going uphill a bit and doing passing a bit. More fuel economy tests coming up. Don't go away. Looks like we had a little happy hour accident here. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Crunch. We're going to put a hold on our fuel economy test and do some off-roading. That's what a truck is for, right? See if we get stuck in some quicksand here. Yeah, right. The suspension is doing a great job of absorbing impacts, and this body structure is very solid. No rattling, aside from some cargo I'm carrying, of course. These are narrow roads. Good thing we have folding mirrors so they don't get smashed. Well, we plowed through a lot of mud, but finally got here. Excellent ground clearance on this vehicle, by the way. Haven't bought them out once. There's a lot of room in this vehicle for camping equipment too, if that's what you're into. But it's a big truck. What do you expect? Seems we're in a cemetery. Remember our beloved Dookie, bravest and most loyal shepherd taken from us by the flash flood. Oh, they got flash floods around here? Maybe we ought to get out of here. We're done off-roading. We're going to take it back out on the freeway, do some more fuel economy testing, and take this in and get a wash job. And maybe get the windshield clean first. This will be our second highway fuel economy test. We're coming to the end of our fuel economy test. We were averaging around 65 to 70 miles per hour, a bit slower than last time. So let's pull over and see what the figures say. It was 24 mpg, but because I stopped, it dropped to 23.9, but we'll say 24 mpg anyway, just to round it off. So let's look at the overall fuel economy. In 2 weeks of driving, one driver 250 miles, me the remaining 500 miles, 20.6 mpg. And for the first 400, it was average 22.5 mpg, just for the record. We've done a lot of city driving, so it dropped a bit. Still pretty good. And we compared to the 16 miles per gallon I got off the 5.0 V8 or the 3.5 EcoBoost in previous testing. I would say it's a very good plus. So here's my take. I haven't met too many people who fork up the extra money for the V8 or 3.5 EcoBoost because they're worried about fuel economy. They want performance, the ability to tow. So in regards to this diesel, why worry about fuel economy? Buy it for the performance. It definitely has a great torque output and great for pulling heavy loads. Along with being very smooth, very quiet, and pleasurable to drive. If it pays for itself in 50,000 miles of driving, hey, that's a bonus, right? It's definitely one of the nicest light-duty diesel engines I've ever driven, and one of the nicest trucks I've ever driven. With only 5% of F-150s having the diesel engine, it might be a bit hard to find, my only complaint. Here are some links to other trucks we've driven lately, just click and watch.